Hey Professor Corey, this is Dan Triplet, and I just want to show off my progress this week for procedural modeling. I went through a whole bunch of the lessons that I purchased, and this is one of the first things I came out with. Now, it looks really simple, but there's more to it than meets the eye. So the idea of this is not so much of, it says car here, but it's really more of a type of thing where you can add components in and replace them with finished pieces. So the idea is that you basically build parts of a car, and they're kind of they're nodes inside of here that I've used to build this. But then on the outer level, you promote the different like values of like the tires and the size of the car and stuff like that. So let me just give an example. So for instance, like if I want to go ahead and change my body size, I can go in here and I can slide this, and then you can see the tires interactively follow the bounding box of that. I can raise or lower this, and it just goes ahead and like automatically chops it off. And same thing here if I wanted to just play around with that. The body lift, I can go ahead and lift the body up, lower it. So if you're playing with like different designs, or you're just actually putting different pieces in here, you can actually swap all of these pieces out for different pieces. Wheel lift, we'll lift the wheel well. You can change the size of that. Wheel well radius, make that bigger or smaller. And then you have the wheels too, so then the wheels have their own radius where you can increase or decrease. I can spin the wheels interactively through here. You can animate that. You can animate the wheels turning. You can change the wheel distance like so. And so basically, as you can see, everything kind of procedurally follows along. So that's one thing. Let's show this. So then here's like a piece that you would swap in for the tire. So this is a more complex tire. It's not 100% perfect. I would obviously like to do a lot more, but I'm just learning. So here's like the nodal network that makes up everything that's here. And I know you were saying that you didn't quite, like you've never worked in Houdini. So basically like your history in Maya, this is like the same kind of thing, except for in Houdini, you don't have to delete it. It actually builds this every time you open a file. So actually the file sizes are really small, because instead of like storing geometry data, it just builds geometry data when you open it. The cool thing is that you can kind of disconnect and reconnect things without it necessarily breaking. And sometimes it does break if you kind of break certain rules. You'll have issues, but it works really cool, and I've done some really cool things where I've changed things very easily, and it worked. It was great. So for instance, let me just show you what I did with this. So for the tire, I have it set up so I can kind of mess around with how many knobs I've got on here. Let's go ahead and just say 20 and 20. So I can go ahead and increase the amount, or I actually like them a little bit smaller, so let me just go like this. And sometimes it freaks out like that for whatever reason. I'm not sure why that's happening, because I know that these numbers are okay. So for whatever reason, it's not working. That might be the screen capture software or something, but I know those are at the default number. I mean the default. So anyway, so who knows? I'm not sure. Anyway, so then I also have this set up for like different patterns, so you can mess around with the patterns and see what you come up with. Let's go ahead and just play around with that. Yeah, for whatever reason, it gets weird and wonky once in a while. But it's not really breaking. That's the weird thing, because I know I can go into the actual tire and make it still work. But for some reason, display-wise, it gets weird. So that's all tire stuff. And then let's look at the rim. So like I can go to the outer rim and mess around with the thickness here, mess around with the twist. Let's go ahead and make the thickness a little wider, and then put the twist up to like 100. And let's just play around with this a little bit. So mess around with how many spokes there are. So you can see like there's a lot of like art direction stuff that you can do and things you can change and see like, oh yeah, I actually really like that, you know, but you weren't like it, you may not have ever expected it, you know, but playing around with this, you can come up with some cool stuff like that. So that's what I basically worked on this week. I've kind of been noodling around with a few other things, but just really like getting down and dirty and kind of learning the basics. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll keep you updated soon.